Hello and welcome back to another edition of Raw out of 10 right here on the Wrestlers Debate. We've got a show today. Raw, everyone's favourite show. We wait all week for this show. It's brilliant. Everyone loves it. 3 hours of the best entertainment of the week. I just can't wait for it. It's the go-home show for Hell in a Cell as well, by the way. But anyway, Alexa Bliss kicked off Raw and recap what happened to Shayna last week, alluding to the fact that Baszler being out of action for now. Nia Jax showed up and said that Shayna challenged Alexa to a match at Hell in a Cell by telling her to stop messing with her and her friends. Alexa denied that they were ever friends before Nia challenged her to a match tonight. Bliss started crying, but then it turned to laughter before she accepted the challenge. We then quickly got Nikki Cross v Charlotte. The match began with when Ripley's music hit. Nikki Cross uses distractions to try and roll Charlotte out. Ripley was having a closer look at the action as Charlotte tossed Cross outside of the barricades. After a break, we returned to Raw to see the Queen in control, but Nikki managed to hit a counter and got a near fall. After some back and forth, Ripley taunted Charlotte on the outside and the Queen got distracted. Nikki got back in the ring and the referee countered Flair out, letting Cross pick up the win. 4 out of 10. Bloody hell. How many times are you going to do this again? Makes Cross look like a fool, makes Charlotte look like a fool, makes Ripley look like a dickhead. Charlotte hit a big boot on Nikki and dragged her to the ring, but Ripley beat her for the punch and hit the riptide, taking Flair out.
Backstage on Raw, Riddle asked Jeff Hardy what he should do to make Randy trust him after last week's Rosh. Hardy said that he should listen to Randy, who is a veteran, and walked out. Orton came up to Riddle and told him to be himself and not to try and be like Randy. Before he got Hardy v Morrison, Morrison blinded Hardy with a dripstick during his entrance, but Jeff shook it off as the bell rang, taking Morrison to the corner and hitting a body splash. Morrison responded with a clothesline, but Alexander came in and watched from the ramp, causing a distraction. Hardy nearly got a near fall before Hardy hit Whisper in the ring and got another 2 count before taking Morrison to the apron, but Morrison hung Hardy up on the ropes with a TKO. Morrison hit a Starship pin and picked up the win, and then after the match, Alexander grabbed the mic and apologised to Hardy for not retiring last week, and then Hardy would retire if Alexander beat him now. A bit weird, but anyway, Alexander caught Hardy with a dragon screw and tried to avoid the twist of fate, spiking Hardy with a Michinoku driver for a 2 count. Alexander moved up for the Swanton Bomb, but Hardy ruled away. Leaping knee rocket from Jeff, but the neutralizer failed to connect. Hardy spiked Cedric for the twist of fate and moved for the top of the Swanton Bomb. Alexander couldn't avoid it and Hardy picked up the win on Raw. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. John Morrison get the win, but a young good star like Alexander just gets buried by a tired, knackered old Jeff Hardy. Only pain. Next up was Naomi versus Eva Marie, potentially, kind of. Eva Marie came out on Raw with another female superstar who took their place. The unnamed superstar, who the hell was it? Oh yeah, it's Piper Niven. But the commentators still don't recognise her. Do you not even watch your own shows, guys? She wiped out Naomi with a headbutt and tossed her around. Even the ring announcer was still going up to her, and they said the winner was Eva Marie. This was very weird, but good to see Piper Niven debut. I like her a lot. 6 out of 10. Backstage on Raw, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke got into a brawl with Natalya and Tamina. In an interview backstage, Drew McIntyre said he'd win back his titles before the New Day versus RK Bro. Kofi and Riddle kicked off the match, and Kingston got a near fall before tagging in Woods for a double team. Riddle was isolated by New Day before Randy managed to get a tag in. Woods was in trouble as Randy grabbed him, but New Day managed to toss him around before taunting Randy and Riddle. Back after a break, Woods nearly pinned Randy, but he countered and got the RKO for the win. I'm going to give this 6 out of 10. Kind of glad to see Len getting quite a win. This is one of the only good things about Raw, and it won't harm the New Day. But anyway, next up we got Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. Ripley had the early advantage and hit a huge drop kick before sending Asuka onto the top rope, but she missed a chance for the suplex. Asuka hit a missile drop kick and sent Ripley to the match before Asuka hit the Northern Lights suplex for a near fall, but they traded submissions in the ring. Ripley hit the riptide and picked up the win, but Charlotte attacked her, wasting no time. A bunch of officials had to separate them, who ended up and Charlotte ended up with a bloody nose. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10 though. Like, how many bloody times do we see this match? This is just so repetitive. Please, for the love of God, move on. Before we got MVP and Lashley backstage with the WWE champion, and they said they were going to regret making Drew come for the title. Before we got Bliss v Jax, Alexa climbed onto Nia's back early on and tried to choke her out multiple times before going for the legs. Nia managed to knock her down before tossing her around the ring and hitting a splash. Alexa dodged a late drop before Reginald distracted her while she was on the apron. Alexa hit a DDT and went to the top rope again and went for the Twisted Bliss, but Reginald broke up the pin. After the match, Alexa seemed to possess Reggie for a minute before walking out of the ring. Holy Christ, 4 out of 10. Just flipping dreadful. MVP was then backstage on Raw and told Kofi the New Day was holding him back. Kofi threatened him and told him to move on before MVP reminded him that they didn't have a match at Hell in a Cell. Before we then got Elias versus Jackson Riker. Hooray! Elias rushed his former partner, catching him with some big clotheslines and elbows as the match opened up. The match went outside and Elias was sent into the ring post. The Drifter decided to let the referee count him out and walk backstage. Jackson Riker got the victory, and this is their way of making Jackson Riker a babyface. Yeah, sounds like a good strategy, guys. Oh god, bloody hell. Bloody hell, this goddamn company, just unbelievable. But anyway, Bobby Lashley was out next with MVP and his ladies to watch Drew face AJ Styles. AJ got some good offense in the match, but a chop from Drew sent him flying. Drew was tossing AJ around before he hit a future lock DDT. Drew went to taunt Lashley and Omos before AJ got in control. The Viking Raiders showed up to give Drew some backup. Back after a break, Drew was dominating the match, but AJ somehow lifted him up and dropped him on the ropes before sending the Scotsman outside. Lashley was enjoying the show as AJ beat down Drew in the ring and locked in a chokehold. Styles got a near fall before Drew dropped him outside and started engaging with Lashley and sending him into the steel steps. Lashley attacked Drew in the ring and the match was called off before the Viking Raiders took the WWE champ outside for Drew to hit a huge suplex on the floor. But this ultimately led into Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders versus AJ Styles and Omos and Bobby Lashley. The 6-man tag was sanctioned over the break as usual. The Viking Raiders were double teaming AJ when Lashley showed up in his ring gear and ticked Drew down outside, causing chaos basically. Omos tagged in, and Eric was in serious trouble before Ivar and Lashley were in control. Lashley struggled to get the full Nelson before Drew came in with some huge kicks. After the break, Ivar was isolated by Lashley and co, and AJ tagged in. Ivar somehow managed to tag in Drew before hitting some big suplexes. Omos dropped Drew from the outside before Eric went after the Giant, only to be tossed around. AJ tagged Lashley in, who walked right into the Claymore, letting McIntyre get the win to close off the show. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. I mean, I still find it mad that we're just getting Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles on a random edition of Raw, but it kind of speaks to the talent they have and how they don't use it. But yeah, there were some good matches in here, but it just kind of felt like it dragged. I could have done with being a bit shorter, to be honest. Overall, Raw this week gets a 5 out of 10 from me. Yeah, once again, another not great episode of Monday Night Raw. Considering the go-home show is kind of to make me excited ahead of Hell in a Cell. It kind of didn't do its jobs, but there were still some good bits in it. I enjoyed seeing Piper Niven, but on the whole, not too great. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and follow me on Twitter, link in the description below, for daily wrestling news. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.